Hello everyone and welcome to week 9. We are officially halfway through the course. By this point in time, you should be completed with all your sessions for your first student and have done 4 out of the 5 assessment artifacts and reflection, all of the videos for student 1, and are getting ready to submit that case study report and getting started to work with student 2. So you've already accomplished a lot. You're halfway done. I know there is a lot of tedious assignments for this course, but hopefully you can reward yourself with a fun or relaxing activity over the spring break, which is coming up. So keep up the good work. You are all doing really well and thinking really critically like a clinician, which is the goal of this course. All right, a couple of announcements. You should have received some links to some surveys. Please definitely take those if you received them from the department. Again, spring break is coming up. It's week 10, which for us is Wednesday, April 3rd to Wednesday, April 10th. So this may be different from your student spring break, either your first student or your second student. So just make sure that you are planning when and how you're going to meet with both of those. Week 9 lectures and materials are going to be up by March 27th. We have no lecture week 10th. However, I am going to hopefully have the week 11 lecture and materials up before I go to Florida for spring break. And that I'm hoping to get them up by like April 3rd. So all week 9 assignments will be due April 10th, not April 3rd. And your work with student 2 will start the week of April 10th. And then your first assessment artifact and reflection with your new student will be due April 17th. There will be no video. And I also need your parent permission form by April 17th before I can review your artifacts and reflection. So currently in the spring break block on Titanium is a link for you to submit the parent permission form. Please do that. Couple of readings for week 9. First, you have the remaining chapters of the QRI-5, chapters 7 through 13, which really have to do with the administration and the scoring of all of the parts, and this should really help you in writing your assessment artifact and reflection on the QRI, as well as prepare for your case study report. So please make sure you read chapters 7 through 13. Also, I have 2 articles. The first one is from the Journal of Adolescent and Adult Literacy, and it's called I'm Not Stupid, How Assessment Drives Inappropriate Reading Instruction. And the premise of this article is that just because a reader isn't proficient doesn't necessarily mean that they need remedial reading. So, because that can often lead to boredom and a bad attitude if there's a mismatch between their need and the intervention they receive. So, they discuss a method where you would look for strengths and then plan instruction carefully. I thought this would be an appropriate article for this week, since it looks at a few students in particular and almost does a case study of 4 different types of students, and then gives you a tiered structure for supporting readers that may fall within one of those categories. So I thought that would be very helpful for doing the case study report, give you some experience with some more scenarios. And then the second article is called Behind Test Scores, What Struggling Readers Really Need, from the Australian Journal of Language and Literacy. And for this article, they actually completed an in-depth analysis of 108 students that scored below proficient on a grade 4 state test. And then from there, they were able to articulate 6 different reading profiles. I also thought this would be helpful for developing your case study report, because you can see if maybe your assessment results match any of their 6 reading profiles. So those are the readings. Assignments due this week, well, not really this week, but they are due April 10th before we come back with week 11. First, the assessment artifact and reflection number 5 with your, the last one with your former student, the case study report, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then you will also have a participation activity, which is a Google Doc, and I will show you what you need to do for that. And make sure you start prepping for student 2. So again, upcoming assignments for week 9, these are due April 10th. And then just wanted to preview what's due when we come back, week 11, due April 17th. I need your parent permission form for student 2, your assessment artifact and reflection 1B from your first session with your second student. No video that week. There's a participation activity on the readings, a forum discussion, and there is a participation activity and instructional action plan, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. So let's talk about the case study report. I've already discussed this way before I think you even started working with your students, maybe in week 3 or so. And on Titanium, I have a rubric, a template, and a sample now, so check those things out. There are 4 parts: the background information on the student, the chart of all the assessments you have given for each of the domains of reading. You need to have the assessment name, the data and the results, the strengths and challenges. You also need to make recommendations for the student based on the assessment results, and then provide areas for further assessment. So definitely make sure you check out the rubric, sample, and template on Titanium now. I will go ahead and take you there. All right, so when you log into Titanium at the very top, I have assignments, rubrics, and other information. And you'll notice here is the case study template. Here is the case study rubric, and here is a case study sample. Additionally, this might be helpful for you. I put the 5-week session guide for student 2 that shows you all of the assessments you will be giving. Like I said, down here in the spring break week is where I have you submitting your parent permission form number 2. So any resources for assignments are actually going to be here. So make sure you check that out. Let's take a look at the template. So you can see in the template, you're filling out just some general information about your student. You're including their reading levels right away on the beginning. And then you need to give some background information that you received from the parent. Here is the data chart where you put in assessments, data, strengths, and challenges of the student, and it includes effective, early literacy, phonics, word recognition out of context, word recognition in context, fluency, comprehension, spelling, writing, and vocabulary. Now I have vocabulary on here. You will not need to fill this out since we didn't give any vocabulary assessments for this student, but that will be needed for your next assignment. And then here, for each of the areas, you would provide some recommendations for instruction and further assessment. So if you take a look at the sample for the student Carl, you can see how the reading level information has been filled out, information on his development and medical history, school history, family and home life. And then you see here's the effective domain, the MRP was given, here is the breakdown of how he scored, here's a description of the strengths, the description of the challenges. Here in the area of phonemic awareness are the assessments given. Here are the broken down results. So pretty straightforward. Definitely with things like the core phonics survey, you're going to want to discuss the student's phase of word recognition. And obviously with spelling, you're going to want to indicate what spelling stage the student is in. Again, for vocabulary, you're not going to have anything here, just delete it because we didn't give any vocabulary assessments this time around. And then here is where you would write the recommendations. So hopefully with the sample and the template, it will be pretty straightforward for you to complete this assignment. So that is the case study report. Another thing we're taking a look at is the Google Doc, and that's your participation activity for week 9. For week 9, you're going to be adding the data for your student and starting to analyze trends. We're putting together kind of like a class summary sheet. So then week 11, you're going to need to analyze all the data and come up with 3 ideas for grouping and interventions that you're going to share on the forum for week 11. So the link is in your checklist for the week, but you put in the student, you put in their grade, you put in your name so I can give you credit, then you put in data for the MRP, the phoneme deletion test, the phonological segmentation test, so you're going to put in all the data into this Google Doc, and then week 11 you're going to return to it and analyze trends for all of our students and see if you can come up with some ideas for grouping and instruction and intervention. Session 5, you should have already done those QRI assessments for narrative and expository, and you only needed to post one video from one of the assessments, so I don't need to see both. You should start to be preparing for session 1B. Again, that 5-week session guide is on Titanium, so I would definitely take a look at that. The first week you are giving an interest inventory, the MRP or the adolescent MRP if the student is above 6th grade. You're going to need to give the QRI word list that you've already done with your previous student, because for session 2B, you're going to be giving the QRI right away. And then you're also going to need to do the parent interview. All right, so just one last time, I want to make sure everyone's really clear on what's due when. Week 9 starts March 27th, and that will be QRI chapters 7 through 13, 2 articles. Your assessment artifact and reflection number 5 is due April 10th. Your case study report's due April 10th. Your participation activity is due April 10th. Week 10, we will have spring break. However, I'm really hoping to get all of the materials up for you for week 11 before I enjoy my spring break, so you have them, because week 11, you have an article to read. You need to have your first practicum session with your new student. I need your fieldwork requirement by April 17th. I need your assessment artifact and reflection by April 17th, no video, and some participation activities. All right, so hopefully you have a clear understanding of what assignments are due coming up, and you are able to utilize the resources on Titanium to help you with those assignments. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you back for part 2, where we're going to start talking about the readings from this week.